Obama had a great piece. If you're not going to do anything, if you're not going to listen to the rest of anything I say on this show, you can turn it off right now. Honestly, you'd probably, if you're not, you take the time, read Obama's piece. It's 4 minutes. He released a piece called "How to Make This Moment the Turning Point for Real Change." And I really encourage you to read it. Fucking stop watching, stop listening to the podcast right now. Just go read that, because that's going to be the single, I think, best thing you can do to actually, help you process some of these issues that we're talking about. Okay, so I'm going to quote some of it. Here we go. We got a first couple quotes here. So, first, the waves of protests across the country represent a genuine and legitimate frustration over a decades-long failure to reform police practices and the broader criminal justice system in the United States. The overwhelming majority of participants have been peaceful, courageous, responsible, and inspiring. They deserve our respect and support, not condemnation, something that police in cities like Camden and Flint have commendably understood. On the other hand, the small minority of, again, this is Barack Obama, on the other hand, the small minority of folks who've resorted to violence in various forms, whether out of genuine anger, which is fair, or mere opportunism, are putting innocent people at risk, compounding the destruction of neighborhoods that are often already short on services and investment, and detracting from the larger cause. I saw an elderly black woman being interviewed today in tears because the only grocery store in her neighborhood had been trashed. If history is any guide, that store may take years to come back. So let's not excuse violence or rationalize it or participate in it. If we want our criminal justice system and American society at large to operate on a higher ethical code, then we have to model that code ourselves. I'm going to say that last line again. If we want our criminal justice system and American society at large to operate on a higher ethical code, then we have to model that code ourselves. So I think he does some really good things. Which is lost in a lot of coverage of this. He says, listen, most of the protesters are peaceful, and he also calls out the violence and condemns it. Boom. Full stop. That's what he does, and I commend him for that, because it does need to be done. And he also does it beautifully. He says, in various forms, whether out of genuine anger. So some of this violence may be out of genuine anger. It's not necessarily just people trying to opportunism, like he said. It's genuine anger, and we need to hold space for that anger. But I agree with Obama that it does detract from the movement. Okay, so he also talks about and I just want to say this actually right now, is he wasn't on CNN. I forgot what he was doing an interview with someone, and then they aired it on CNN, or giving a talk, and he talked about he said he was making the point that the movement today is different than it was in the 60s, and one of the points he said is, if you actually look at the people protesting and the broad-based support for the protests, a lot of people support the protests, a lot of people support this movement. It was not like that in the 60s. He made the point that you look at the color of the people that were protesting in the 60s versus the rainbow of people that are protesting today. It does not. There is progress on that front. So Obama is such a class act. He's using. I love the way he put that. He's not trying to be divisive. He's trying to hold space for the people that are angry, which you absolutely need to do. But he's also, he's also calling for unity. So I'll quote him again. He says this, and this is from his piece, which I'll link to. But you can just search Barack Obama Medium, because he published on Medium. Okay, he says this, but eventually aspirations have to be translated into specific laws and institutional practices. And in a democracy, that only happens when we elect government officials who are responsive to our demands. But the elected officials who matter most in reforming police departments and the criminal justice system work at the state and local levels. And then Audre Lorde, I believe that's how you pronounce her name, she has a quote, "Revolution is not a one-time event." So there are 18,000, we're going to get into this too, there are 18,000 police forces, or what are the law enforcement agencies in the U.S.? There are 18,000, only 65 of those are federal. Protesting is just the start. It's the first step of hundreds, right? We have this moment, and that's why I love this piece. Make this moment a turning point for real change. We have this moment. Now this is when the hard work starts. This is when we each need to we need to go to the ballot box. We need to research the people we're voting in office. We need to start dialogues in our community. We need to email our politicians. We need to send them letters. We need to even tweet at them, Facebook. People read that stuff, especially if you're talking about a local someone local running for office or something, they read that stuff, and it does have an effect on them. And he also, and I'm going to link to this as well. Obama.org has a website, or excuse me, there's a section on the website, Anguish and Action. He talks about what are the different things that we can do, what are the different things we can donate to, what are the different things we can give our time to. So I'll be honest with you. This last election, when I voted in the Democratic primary, I voted for Joe Biden. I have no problem saying that. The elections, all the things I was, there was a lot of, I think, judges and DAs I was voting for and shit like that. It was pathetic how little research I did. I talked to some folks. I did some Googling, but it's like that's not going to move the needle. Did I really do any any real research? As someone that claims to be in support of Black Lives Matter, which I am, and I think many people are, we need to do that next step. We need to actually put our time and our money where our mouth is. So he talks about campaign in actually that video that I referenced. He talked about Campaign Zero, Color of Change, which are things you can contribute to. Campaign Zero is more about preventing police brutality and overuse of force and things like that. And there's things that we can give our time and our money to, and I'm looking for something. I haven't quite settled on which one. I do. I'm a big fan of donating monthly. Everyone's got a few things they care about. Do a small monthly donation to a few different things. It'll make you feel good. It's a cost of a beer or two, cost of a cup of coffee or two a month. It's not a big deal. Even $10 a month somewhere. Think of something you care about. And currently, I'm looking for something that I'll talk about on the show. That's my to-do item for next episode, for next week is kind of, there's a lot of different organizations that I really like to think about. Okay, which one do I want to support? Because when I give a donation, I'll do it, and then I'll never think about it again in terms of I won't change it. I won't think, like, I want it something that's in it for the long haul. So we'll talk about that next time. That's a to-do item for me. But look into some of these things. Yes, protesting you absolutely need. I'm a big fan of protests. You need to protest. These are huge, important things. But there are 18,000. There are 18,000 law enforcement agencies across the United States. Only 63 of those are federal. And as Obama said, this is a state and local level thing. We need to raise awareness, but we also need to vote. We need to look at who are the DAs. We need to look at these things. We need to look at who are the Fukin judges in our community. We need to look at the police practice. We need to actually do these things that are actually going to cause change. Okay, and Obama.org, again, I'll link to this. He has a bunch of resources on his website for things that you can do. Who can volunteer? Who can even just give your money? These are things that I'm looking into doing, which we all need to hold ourselves accountable, because me talking on the show is not enough. Protesting is not enough. It's absolutely important. We need to talk. We need to protest, but we have to do more. That's the first step. So let's hold it on ourselves to take that next step. There's also the service called, I believe it's called Ballot Ready, which tells you certain initiatives that you're going to be voting on. So we got our next election is in Fukin, November 20th, right? Which I believe there's also local things that we'll be voting for in that election as well. See, my ignorance on that, I should even know that. My ignorance of the local system needs to be vastly improved. I've kind of been all over the place the last couple of years, so I haven't really settled. So I need to kind of settle, be in your community, research this stuff. I'm going to try to hold myself accountable. This is what it's going to take, people. It's not just holding a sign up, okay? We need to do that, but we also need to do this. It's an and. What is it? It's a both and. I think is what Obama said. We need to hold ourselves accountable. We need to actually do something. If you're posting on social media, the blackout page to support Black Lives Matter, good. Do that. Raise awareness. Whatever. Even though I think some of that, I saw an interesting point that some of that was during when we need to be getting real information out there, real dialogue out there. That was kind of clogging up a lot of feeds, and I think that's a fair point. I think, but it's also good to raise awareness. So I'm kind of split on that. But this is what we need. This is what we need to do. We need to actually post that blackout post on social media. Do it, raise awareness, and then do this other stuff. We need to do everything. We need to talk about these things. This is what it's going to take. We need to actually vote. We need to study these issues, because it's not just a one and done. It's not just we need a new president. No. It's not just we need a new. Even if the whole federal government was handpicked with the people we wanted. This is at the state and local level. Okay, we need to do more. So it's going to take. This is a total grassroots movement. That's what it's going to take. So let's hold each other accountable. Again, we talk in decades on this show. I'm going to. If it's not going to matter in a decade, we're not going to talk about it now. And this is going to take a decades-long effort. It's been decades since the civil rights movement has started. It's been decades fighting for equality, and it's going to take even more decades now. So we're in the middle of we have to think in decades. We can't think that this is overnight going to be fixed. This is the reality. This is the reality, and we have to live in that. And we have to work within the system.